Hello, good morning, Connecticut, Governor Lamont. This is regarding highways and where how we are a value/value progression. Excuse my appearance. I did a long video last night. I erased it by mistake because I was wearing the same shirt I was in a shorter video. I did for YouTube, youtube.com/user/Romulus Wall. My name is Anthony Wall. ROMUL user/ROMULUS one word, obviously, because that's a link. But this for the value/value progression, we could stack, like for example, there are means with space where it is too small or too big, and or overabundant out of nowhere means in demonstration of one identity's identity of relationship to itself, and the value of that, positive or negative, but distinctly, non-distinctly, and simultaneously onto five identities of sequence nature/simultaneous nature, as a quality of diffusion where the slash, also referred to as a solidus, and it has other names. You could look it up on Wikipedia. That's where I read that. I have a Bachelor of Arts in English Arts. I'm a master on the nature of English grammar. So I'm not a doctor, but I'm going to show you means to delineate the delusions from each of the sciences experts. A bridge that has victims, but has victim predators. So we have to be shown, everyone has to be shown how they can fathom making proper fact-keeping nature. Since founding, before our founding parents were born, the native identity of the ground, relationship to our native fact-keeping nature with no criminal foreign influence, no criminal foreign influences, no physical delusions, then it is an identity of correlation nature that is a trinity and demonstration of this identity of value progression. That is the identity of the body of forever, per science. This is the science of pantheism, what it's really about, most probably, per science. See, but with scientific consensus and scientific processes, where our valued self criminally foreign influence themselves, because everyone's abridged victim reactions to what it needs. The real causes of negative value nature progressions, action nature is leveraged against everyone. Our founding parents did not have free speech. And the nations that were involved with that, they also didn't have free speech, even kings. Excuse me. I should have shaved it before but people keep, that's why this is part of it. No one ever fathomed how this was going to be exploited. Not just lie progressions from each formal conviction nature, each formal fact treatment nature, even every opinion of every identity of job, person A through Z. This was colonists A through Z, nations A through Z before that. Territories before it was Native Americans A through Z. They first made them, separated them, not just from unity. Unity can be is still negative value nature. Individually grouped and together, modern nations individually grouped and together are defending identities that way. Tactically ulterior from how we are simultaneously bonded and not bonded by what is only increasing at the same time, which the solidus is representative of. Everywhere you see in my writing, when I write a slash, it goes with what's on both sides of it, including plurality. We are humanity slash IES, because we're other systems, humanities. See how they have that pluralized. See, so the physical ground is an identity of volume slash S. The breeze is an identity of volume slash S, whole bunch of gases, individually grouped together. Positive or negative is not carbon gases or poison, or oxygen. Poison too if it's not the right mixture. We're in a system that shows where identity and how identity is nature. And its identity and its identity of relationship to itself, the value of that onto 5 orders of simultaneous nature, 5 identities of sequence / simultaneous nature, in relationship to one identity of value progression that will only stay positive unto itself. All exceptions in exception nature are in demonstration of this simultaneously. So force-based nature transfer is forced value of and as our identity forced from here, Leith of Hadith. This is how I explain this. This is other than you hear it explained. So English was revealed by ancients before criminal foreign influences of sciences were entertained that way. So now you have now you have self-valued criminally foreign influence premises treatments, identity of positive treatments as criminal insidiousness natures. So American history has, for example, overtly. It's amazing that we have simultaneously, insidiously, and simultaneously overtly self-valued, sickly influenced breaching method employed, facts used for lies. For example, what caused slavery was this breaching organized crime method. But others pretended honest opinions by people A through Z. By countries A through Z simultaneously, fake size of correlation nature's trinity, which is inside as value nature inside this the trinity that is the identity of the body of forever, making more of its identity of volume. See, this is off subject, but the subject is how to fund the highway. We have that space. We have all kinds of, this is a tactically denatured native identity of the grounds, identity of relationship to our native quality of fact treatment nature, no matter who we are. And the value of that only increasing. This is one identity of volume that only increases. Who wants to debate that? Originally and still, they're reported having to rely upon and to self-value scientific process and scientific consensus, criminally foreign influenced. All identity of the ground, locations, every individual group and together associated with that. Recorded how maintained victims needed to react to negative value nature progressions acts in nature's relationship to every location as fact treatment nature, blaming other things, others, and selves, even when correct. More and more having been taken manifest, defenses of premises treatments, criminally foreign influence, terminate sequence treatments, finite, active, progressive fact treatments, the order of the value of the order of the finite, the value of the order of the active, the value of the order of progressive. So they put tactically nature forced since before cars, this pathology of homes, tactically, overtly, and simultaneously, insidiously, landscape theater that is tactically denatured. Beauty, which is nature itself, its identity of relationship to itself that is positive. So we're only temporary positive. Criminal insidiousness nature is proof that and how people can use what is positive for negative. No, truths as lies. So in other words, it is true that some things make better. If someone's using research and then they're making an argument, that's more respected. In other words, evidence reception. But if someone's using correlation, in other words, you can demonstrate what is formal research, scientific process, scientific consensus, criminally foreign influence with research reception. No, and then with defenses of that. So correlation doesn't even need research to demonstrate that and how. James Madison's identity, George Washington's identity, our founding parents' identity, as an identity of relationship to from the ground to our quality of fact-shaping nature, correlation nature, where and how the surface values of the Constitution were forced, entertained, abridged. And positive and negative was forced, entertained as criminal and seditious natures in collusion with that sick breaching method. As slavery, but as slavery against every single person, A through Z. This first effectively made Native Americans, A through Z, Native American tribes, A through Z, have to react as fact-shaping nature, not fathoming that and how the same exact thing that was being done to them by the same people doing it is being done to them. And you can't, in other words, even if some tribes are economically successful, they're still victims. In other words, we have to have our species body of volume allowed to have its culture has prevented free speech, which is why and how we are individual grouped and together. Grouped ages, areas, sexes, locations, areas, states, further intercampuses of all natures, simultaneously of all private database relationships, simultaneously further intersciences. This took the identity, see how your one identity has all the identities of your body as a semi-nature relationship to itself. So see how the individual is a complete identity of volume, but we're simultaneously a semi-nature with what is grouped and what is the species identity body of value. See, even the species body of volume can get gifts from Santa. But this is per evolution's science, which only feels like games. Because it's evolution, reveals fruits, it's fruits and gifts, means from nowhere. But this is where and how we are a quality of fact-shaping nature, humanity. So there are endless means, just undiscerned, unfathomed. And by a whole bunch of people individually grouped and together at once. So what we do, using pantheism, we start doing this, but we do this in a way. Every nation, in other words, along the highways, there is space. Along the next to the highway, there are houses. Now, we can facilitate for better than free, where it will make money, means to add to the value of those houses, make those locations better, means to have more life forms. See, you can make more energy dropping water, releasing it, than it takes in saving. You can save more energy too. Releasing water into the right way, if you do it the right way, than it takes to lift the water. And then you can stack, if you do it the right way, you can stack the depths. You can stack way really deep. Whole bunch of life forms that like it that way. See, there's an identity of the ground relationship to itself that is native pure. It's not just saying words. It is evolution science. See, evolution science works with the identity of the grounds, actual identity of relationship to itself as a value system perfect. So we have forced, entertained, abridged value nature systems, not just market systems. All the identity, just like all the identities of your body, all the systems of your body are also semi-nature relationship to this system that we are designed by and as, which we cannot change. And when we do, it demonstrates it. All exceptions in exception nature, like belief of IDs. Force, negative value nature progression. This is the identity that inventions work or not in relationship to itself. The identity of value/value progression. Inventions are further positive or not in relationship to itself. This is the identity that evolution uses. Not just because the invention is going to work or not. And don't forget, it can be further positive or negative. See criminal insidiousness. Positive itself could be negative value nature. So, I'm not a lawyer, not police form, not a doctor. I'm going to delineate the delusions from the criminally foreign influence premises treatments of each of the sciences, individually grouped and together, self-valued, abridged. Now that couldn't help originally and still but be victim predators used remotely since before electronic definitions of that, not just from the lie progressions, not just because of the standing criminal and seditious natures of identities of titles, jobs, people, overt criminal enterprises, hundreds of nations A1 through Z whatever, all entertain suits and ties, counters fake difference, all victims through criminally foreign influence sciences abridged, here and there. This came since semi-ancient times, since before modern religions, messengers. And they had to take multi-front because now everyone was entertaining the sciences abridged. Now everyone was entertaining what nature would continue to demonstrate negative value, nature progressions, acts, and natures and demonstration. It already revealed this science, the science of evolution. It already revealed how its identity of relationship to itself and the value of that can be, is the only thing that can lead and reveal and sustain positive value, nature progressions, acts, and natures. It is the identity of possession over a natural series of connected revelations that are relevant to the long words and the short words of the human species, prevented free speech in semi-ancient times, while offensively, simultaneously, insidiously, and overtly misprision identities individually grouped and together with each branch, and then individually grouped and together with the branches grouped and together, distinctly, non-distinctly, and simultaneously. Crime methods hiding that. Those are methods bonded by what kept and keeps them needing to hide that. Sequence shifts. Finite. Self-value leveraged against everyone, even against themselves, but they make it self-value. Because now we are tactical ulterior from this natural value nature system as market positions, not because we're market positions. For example, capitalism and communism and socialism are recorded in collusion against free speech, against science with no criminal foreign influence premises treatment. These are fake sides of correlation natures, Trinity. And they're hiding it by value treatments, all value treatments, with actually recorded evidences. Actually recorded means proper evidence perception. Also, so say we have animals and things like that. People, how many people live in the state? How many days are there? We can organize what is not organized before we have to use pantheism. Not about many gods. The ancients revealed God as an algebraic variable for the science of this. What is actually true always, not denying exceptions, as this identity of value/value progression that has a distinct, non-distinct, and simultaneous relationship to all other identities of value progression individually grouped and together. Everything is in demonstration of this at once. So, Boxing's to campus dunks with stolen name. This republic, its name is stole. This was revealed by ancients before criminal foreign influences were forced entertained. The science is abridged. As victims, not fathoming that the plan was to make everyone forced to react to negative value nature, progressions, acts, natures that they didn't know how to react to. Even especially if they made it up about the witch trials. That's what it was about. They needed to act. That's what slavery. You have to answer the questions of the soul. /S. Where, what caused slavery? They tell you money. They make opinions dishonestly though. Preventing free speech is already self-valued. All identity ground, titles, jobs, locations, not by accident. So I've been asking since before the World Trade Center attack, because people asked me for help, because Connecticut courts and Connecticut military and foreign military, like Kuwait, the uses of this is fluent through our nation. This is nothing bad against any nation. Simultaneously, they're all the defenses of identities already. Self-value, because we have legal treatments, we have investigators and investigations associated not just with the World Trade Center every day, where they already made formal fact treatments that were criminally foreign influenced, delusions, wrought, and sick. So they have to hide from and hurt and value hurt. Each age of correlation nature. Each age of correlation nature is actually simultaneously inherent, active, and progressive means. Greater than that. By two sequence / simultaneous natures. Also before and beyond that. Per science, actually discernible. So we need free speech, sequence true. The courts, dozens of people from the Britain Superior Court alone are recorded, confessed, and demonstrated with a whole bunch of retired and standing prosecutors and judges involved with Connecticut interstates and World Trade Center and Washington, D.C. Rules with what is also intercampuses of each age and nature, private databases at the same time, overt criminal enterprises, hundreds of nations shared. Roles with what is manifest with all locations, areas, and states where and how they are shared, and there is self-valued. There are self-valued roles with what is fluent through our nations, on and off campuses of each age and nature for sustained, because they're making pseudo-positive. They're making the sequence shift self-valued by each age. Fake righteous care, fake care. Fake integrity of justice. Justice is only negative value nature. Only what is simultaneous nature is positive, and will only stay positive. So we are automatically positive more than our nature is actually, and capable of being even more than that because of the quality of diffusion that is involved with this identity of value progression, of this identity of volume that is increasing, only increasing as an identity of volume. That's where humanity came from. That's where planets came from. Before something could bang into each other, itself had to be generated. And it was already bonded. The bang, so when a bang comes about, because where this identity that is self-generating, it is the identity that is increasing the size of all the space nature, of all of its identity of value progressions individually grouped and together. as its complete volume, and as an identity of volume that is also even greater than that, won't fit into it but one way, which is only increasingly. So each identity of volume has a distinct identity of relationship to itself. Distinct value of that. So everything is in demonstration of what causes positive and negative value in expressions. So this is an identity the ground relationship has to our quality of fact treatment nature as an identity of volume. So this is critical where we have the highways, where we have modern nations are in the same semi-ancient trap self-value as victims already invested. All precedent statues, every modern nation individually grouped and together overtly and simultaneously insidiously. They can pretend they have opinions that then they're not lying, but it is recorded that and how they are. So we have to be able to counter their misprising individually grouped and together, pretending it's personal. The journalism is recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with sequence shifts that show that they pretend that people are saying things bad about journalism so they get offended, rather than fix their roles with database predicate acts, wrongdoing, and with wire crimes, attach me and others to fake words, fake locations, fake relationships to others. They put celebrities, they invest themselves, they invest others to identity ground communications. Fact, treatment, nature, reactions, and reflections on that verbally, in relationship to their wire crimes and mail crimes, in relationship to their sequence treatments, because these are all the natures of courts of Connecticut, and individually, distinctly, non-distinctly, and simultaneously. All the police forms, former director of the FBI down, his co-defendants in a tied part of the case /S. One of them had a daughter in my grade, and had other kids who are involved with them. On and off Fox Connecticut News, the buildings next to them. On and off, and that's in Hartford, Connecticut. On and off Rocky Hill, where WFSB is. This is not personal. They attach me to fake words, fake ties to other people, fake relationships. They did that to force one of the already proven people on the sex offender registry, then recorded now and further, involved with other natures of organized crime acts with them. Illusions, no. Falsified police reports. Uses of Wethersfield town offices for this. A bunch of people names forging and switching. Also wire crimes where they put fake transcripts about what's actually recorded on the wire over the phone. The Wethersfield Police Department attaching people to fake communications with their officers, forging and switching names on off their locations, with child sex offenders I caught them with my town's police chief, with his daughter and his extended family member, recorded using that to pretend they wouldn't hurt them when they were needing that to hide live aggressions. That's also a whole bunch of people associated with the Mayano family. Recorded, confessed, demonstrated, involved with them, attaching me to sequence shifts, fake locations with them, people tied to them, involved with people, the family of a Phil Colon, who also pretended me to fake locations with them, fake communication and fake ties to them. They're involved with identity thefts and lies to perception where they're attaching people of each age and their family members to fake words. And they're forging names, switching names as officers. And interbranch at the same time. They've been doing this. The Britain Superior Court has dozens of people, even female judges involved this way, having forced a since proven anyway off campus principal child offender, principal child abuser, which was involved then and further with wire crimes and mail crimes and New Britain Superior Court, falsified transcripts, forging names, switching names roles, falsified police reports with crime methods, for example, using police departments, a whole bunch of different police departments for the same falsified arrests. affected through, from attaching me to fake arrests by different officers, pretended that weren't even present when they started this with a promise to appear, too, because they made up the charges. Because I caught them with recorded rape threats with people who were already involved with predicate acts with them since they were in middle school, who made confessions about the people when I was in grammar school, who I barely know of, who also recorded confessed, like with the Joshua Julian, crimes simultaneously pretending to be against crimes with overt criminal enterprises while having been acting with them with predicate acts. I don't know Joshua Julian. I only know of him. He's recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with the people, with the families on the child sex offender registry, with New Britain Superior Court, other court, dozens of people from the Britain Superior Court, prosecutors and their kids involved with him. They lied to former Governor Malloy. They've been coaching him to prevent mandated law interstates. Maine also has roles with this. This is foreign and domestic medical organized crime. Untimely deaths brought me aware of the campuses, and there are other roles with overt criminal enterprises, and with the witness protection program, also involved with people with body dumping spots associated with that, and with forensics locations associated with that, and with the transition from ACA to RICO, associated with all these people associated with and as former director of the FBI Robert Luskin's co-defendants and his lawyer Robert Chevery. Thaddeus Skrybowski, also one of the ones as his co-defendants in a tied case /S. Unrelated cases to that are tied to that because they've been using depositions and other things to pretend delusions so they can pretend in cases to perceive things and to misperceive things because they have to hide their personal roles and uses of and as criminal and seditious natures, individually grouped and together misprision. And again, grouped. That means the some ways it's grouped the judicial branch and the executive branch. Some ways it's grouped the judicial branch and political families and locations like Congress, recorded, used remotely by a Mueller and a Comey, a James Comey and a Robert Mueller. Also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with the pattern of relevant worse than war crimes racketeering intercities in Connecticut, from my town into branch, intercities leading up to the World Trade Center attack context /S, interstates from Connecticut, Wethersfield, Connecticut, Hartford, New Britain. They've been stacking people to roles needed to hide roles with and as pseudo-positive as criminal and seditious nature, having been exploited that way. So these are also people that are involved with research, like for example, where they have areas where people have been killing each other in north end of Hartford. The research bodies and campuses, of each age and nature are recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with what is intercampuses of each age and nature connected, including homeschooled and their family members. From that, live progressions. As this identity of the ground relationship to our quality of volume, as it is natural, pure, individually grouped and together. So these prevented free speech. We have identity thefts, frauds, and worse than war crimes originally and still forced, entertained, and sustained. So I have been asking online, because they also have interbranch roles with overt criminal enterprises and with overtly sick people involved with identity thefts and frauds, which it is when interbranch colludes with stacking falsified police reports into databases, with manipulations of juries originally and still, delusions, wrought, criminally foreign influence, easily affected to make the wrong outcomes. See, we have the branch of the government as victims forced to react to it by driving around with a lawnmower. That is only capable of response and obligated response. And see, that lawnmower shoots rocks out the side of it, though. And they purposely shoot it at the people. And then they have to hide that, for example. And then they're used remotely. They have to pretend qualities of positive and negative that are fake. They have to use truths and lies and facts as non-facts, as lies. They're exploiting exceptions in exception nature. Now, we have time treatments by these courts, recorded always too fast, too slow. Defending, that's why they pretend they care so much about jobs. Because they can't get away with defending their fact treatments without valuing how they are maintained self-valued victims, predators. They have time impositions. They came through criminally foreign influenced sciences. The delusions wrought. They are the abridged constitution. It is very simple that we have that and how our founding parents had forced words upon them. They had forced entertained roles with what was entrenched. Roles with identities of jobs, titles. People A through Z. Blaming other things other than themselves. Valuing blaming other things other than themselves. That which really was most sickly tied to and as what was hurting each identity of correlation nature. Free speech never made honest opinions, honest convictions, formally and all other in collusion with regarding what Jim Crow laws are about, let alone what witch trials are about, what Native American rights are about, what slavery was about itself. It's about the fact-cheating nature of slavery of our founding parents, per a method that was already entrenched, per a method that already effectively maintained forced self-value, tactically denatured identity of the ground, relationship to our quality of fact-cheating nature, already revealed to and as perfection, where perfection only increases its volume here, or its difference in relationship to its distinct, non-distinct, and simultaneous relationship to its entire body. The volume of forever increasing. So we force it from here, lethal IDs. We're no longer its temporary positives. Relationship to itself that can. So no, the rest of space nature has no criminal foreign influences. We're only one species. Took too long. That's why we got away with it so long. Being value nature systems, markets, positions, all tactically ulterior from its own. Inseparable from and as the quality of our fact-cheating nature, distinctly, non-distinctly, and simultaneously onto these five inseparable identities of sequence / simultaneous nature. And that slash again is an increasing identity of volume. And its identity of relationship to itself and the value of that won't change. And the only reason it does is because where and how there is simultaneously each identity of sequence nature / simultaneous nature is increasing the value of and the volume of the identity they share together, distinctly, non-distinctly, and simultaneously. The Trinity. Its identity of relationship to itself and the value of that. Only increasing. So we just stack means. So then we can get all the materials for it, build infrastructure, make sure it's safe and be even more safe. No one will be able to afford it. Now all of a sudden the whole state's gonna put together things. 200 million is like nothing. Plus we can make money to fix the highways this way. With the species soul, native pure, no matter who you are, really wants and needs. And when this is not owned by anybody, as pantheism, as a science that is not about God, but as God is an algebraic variable we use to discern what or not really is the identity of value progression that's going to cause evolution's fruits and gifts. What is its identity of relation to itself that is positive? And this is a science again, where temporary positive could also be criminal ceaseless nature. To understand this, we have to understand the value of the order, the value of the order of sequence true. The value is distinct, non-distinct, and simultaneously the value of the order of the finite as positive, as 5 identities of positive, 5 bonded identities of volume as value, and value as nature, simultaneously distinct. Value as nature and nature as value / nature as value as simultaneous nature, which is that is also further positive or negative. That's so you can see what is discernible. Could draw it. So we could draw that, and how highways have little fishing spots. Just people will. There's that movie. I forgot the name of the movies. I don't remember the line, but they say if you make it, it comes. People come. If you reveal identity of the ground, relationship with self, that is native pure. That is seeking to undo, that to admit and demonstrate and be led by the evidences that are all the proofs of it tactically denatured, self-value. See, that has to simultaneously value each position of the fact-treatment nature, who needs to use correlation nature to explain the real causes of negative value nature progressions, acts, and natures upon each. So this breaching method knew that everyone was going to do that, not knowing how to do it, so they were going to blame it on other things other than themselves wrongly, even when correctly. And then they're going to defend that. And they're simultaneously going to be defending a quality of fact-treatment nature this breaching method knew that nature will continue to demonstrate. Negative value nature, progressions, acts, and natures, and demonstration of. So this breaching method knew that people would have to increasingly self-value nature being exploited by others for other reasons, so they could blame it on that. So they could hide from correlation nature. All the people hurt by the fact-treatment nature slavery of our founding parents, let alone the fact-treatment nature slavery of the people with the better jobs, like what they call what Harriet Beecher Stowe labeled Uncle Tom. No, Harriet Beecher Stowe house, Mark Twain house on Farmington Avenue. Together there, down the street from Robert Luskin, Luskin's lawyer, Robert Luskin's lawyer, former director of the FBI, former standing chairperson on racketeering influence to corrupt organization act. He's also involved he has recorded ties and involvements with people associated with a Joshua Julian and with a Joshua Stryker, with roles with on-off Trinity College connected untimely deaths, and roles with the principal child offenders campus, and interbranch Facebook page stewards. Inclusion also with falsified police support, all kinds of predicate acts, wire crimes. They have the media attach me and others to fake locations, fake words, ties to other people. Now they've been doing this since I was a kid. Since before the World Trade Center attack, I asked to have things reported because people asked me for help. I found out after too. I found out the extent of it after. I didn't understand all of it. I could explain now is recorded. So in Hartford, Connecticut, all along that where Harriet Beecher Stowe House, Mark Twain House is, note Uncle Tom. Note how they are recorded having failed to explain how criminal how important it is to understand criminal insidiousness and positive how positive truth, facts can be used as lies and are used as lies. How the people pretending researching problems are used to further them for defenses of their identities and their identities of roles. With identity, the relationship to the grounds that are blaming on other things other than themselves, the real causes of negative value nature progression. They're also self-valuing that. Correlation nature. Each person has a means by this identity of simultaneous nature that has been prevented free speech since pounding drums. So in other words, we mean stack. There are people, we just organize everyone will, put the money up themselves. People don't even, can do it in a way. We have to have the people on the other side of the highway, locations. If whatever plan is right, they will want to be involved with it because it's going to facilitate an identity of the ground, identity of relationship to itself that is involved with this evolution science, which doesn't leave out their grounds, identity of relationship to itself, native pure. Now, so we have courts that were used remotely originally and still. We have identities of police, their families, all because, not just because what is thought. Everyone's neighbors are involved with this. Their neighbors, the locations. So down the street from the Harriet Beecher Stowe House, Mark Twain House. Remember, Harriet Beecher Stowe is involved with this phrase. With this character, and with also the Uncle Tom. Now, this is where everyone's fake sides of correlation nature originally and still only allowed is entertained criminal insidious nature, positive treatments, convictions that are in collusion with the breaching method that forced that, as the only people allowed to speak about what it was about. What it is about, actually, is about a breaching organized crime method, a simple organized crime method, a database relationship. The only thing that makes it seem complicated is because it bonded a whole bunch of motivations, natures, needs, interests, identities. Identity of the ground, relationship to our quality of, and as our quality of fact, treatment nature, as criminal insidious, fake positive, fake integrity, as victims that already only maintain capable of blaming other things other than themselves. So this is also the people involved with the World Trade Center crimes. Simultaneously, they were preventing me from demonstrating actually and from telling on what is also recorded and confessed, which is how child campuses intercities have people associated with the colleges and universities already having been used remotely. Also fire campuses, also medical campuses, also other private database relationships, the neighbors of them and their family members. This is completely fact-treatment nature oriented. Note how various natures of predicate acts like mail crime, wire crime, associated with criminal enterprises. How they are completely fact-treatment nature, or falsified police reports, in collusion with killers in these groups. Now, this is also how criminally legalized, self-valued criminally legalized, our modern nations individually grouped together, criminally legalized criminal insidious natures. You can't defend that and do anything but value each position of correlation nature simultaneously, increasingly worse than hurt and suitably cared for simultaneously in relationship to their needs and our needs every moment to have where everywhere there is a class on with relevance to slavery, which is every class. This is correlation sabotage. So, in other words, there are countless means. Space is either too big or too small, or it is just endless, means unfathomed, a series of connected revelations, as the long words and as the short words of our species increasingly forbid conjunction, forbid their words, our correlation, our free speech, while others pretended originally still. They still have, they're still pretending Marbury versus Madison means pretend their integrity when they know they are not. They also have physical delusions and all kinds of criminal roles with criminality with the people who run the prisons and the people who train them, like Central Connecticut State University. Victims recorded, confessed, and demonstrated and influenced by dozens of people from the British Superior Court and from Hartford courts and military families involved with them. See, because these are fake patriotism natures. So they have to value anywhere, rolls with it is hurt formally. In other words, because that's where their fact-cheating nature in collusion with. In other words, they don't care about jobs and titles. They don't care about anything. No one spoke for any location, let alone the most forsaken. This is all landscape theater where it is not overtly, tactically denatured native identity of the ground, identity of relationship to our quality of fact-checking nature. It's a breaching organized crime method where and how hundreds of nations have the pathology of cities, people stacking, where no one grows anything. Anything that's being grown is positive and negative treatments as criminal cases, collusion. So we're in a trap. Every identity of industry is a victim, let alone ourselves. So, but they don't even, they just, nations individually grouped together are only capable of self-valuing locations, areas, and sciences in collusion with this. They won't allow equality of fact-cheating nature as our presidents / chiefs. They won't allow them to be anything but collusion with them while they're pretending other. The locations, areas, of states interbranch, further intercampuses, abridged constitution, surface values. So they have worse than cruel and unjust punishments. For example, with marijuana. For example, in relation simultaneously with the live progressions that Justice Department was involved with, and military, with New York City, with cities throughout this nation, Hartford, Connecticut, where they have areas with shootings a lot. Those places are recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with this crime method through time with the same people that make confessions about, there are people in life who approach you with the confessions and statements, and they're lying to you. They're pretending to be about truth. And now if you try to react to that, not by accident, you'll just be reacting to things you're going to be used remotely. If you don't react to it, they're gonna hurt you other ways. Not by accident. Nothing I say is theory. They also have our nation with a whole bunch of other countries recorded, confessed, and demonstrated. They have conspiracy theories. They have the conspiracy theory. They have psychology with people forging names, switching names, faking conversations, identity theft, frauds, racketeering, with the wire crime, mail crimes that our courts and that our police firms are involved with simultaneously. They also have the private, like the media, on off their locations, on off the locations associated with their family members. because this is how they use and keep effectively each identity of the ground. We're all gathered around. Self-value roles with line progressions, with distinctions about the finite, active, and progressive, sequence shifts, self-value, identity thefts, frauds, and worse than war crimes, simple racketeering method rules self-value as fact-driven nature. So follow mandated law for Connecticut, please. Campus Marcius calls you through the breeze. So, Governor Lamont, I'll donate what we could do as a book, and all the money will go to the highways, and part of it will go to what we give to the nation, to the other states, and to the nation distinctly, non-distinctly, and simultaneously. And part of it, with and as that, is as an organization where everyone gets on the same page, and it means to share. This highway means stacking method, means depletion countering method, where we can lock modern nations onto the same planet. No, the species body of volume can train and gather. Where and how it can make means unfathomed for the nations A through Z grouped, where and how power and might are bonded, but not completely, not by what is even stronger than power and might together, which is relevant where we are here, using the identity of value / value progression that is actually native, pure, and true always. And that's what that is. Identity of values / value progression, the highway. Our needs to maintain highways, to keep them safe. Our means to counter all that, where everything is inseparable from the identity of negative value nature progression. Maintain self-value. All victims, so we have to address how all are only capable of being victim predators because of how everyone came through 6 sciences. So there are all kinds of species and things we need. We have means to put, see, if you build the depths returned to ponds, into waters, it takes less, you can make more energy and save energy and create means from nowhere by lifting water. Then it takes less energy to lift it than you can gain from it. So we have to make the identity of the ground. I'll gather around. Also, in other words, if we have fishing line on top of a boat higher than the trucks are going to go. And then they're going to say they drive out to here and something grabs onto their truck and it pulls the fishing line. Wouldn't that make them more stable now? Because now it's in a straight line. It's not that strong, it's just fishing line. But it's strong enough to pull it without breaking. In other words, we have all this momentum. So we put an identity of the ground, fake invention. But with what we know will work. In other words, not be good or not. But then we just perfect it. Because, in other words, I'll donate the process. I'll donate the process like everyone wants to have. And we'll find areas of the highway where everyone around it agrees. If they, whatever it takes to make them agree, and whatever it takes to make that agreement be about an identity of the grounds, identity of relationship to itself, that's only going to cause evolution, especially where the highway comes up around water. There are means to regroup our nature that has means to stack, where the impositions like needing to repair things become valuable, where we can make money on it without ripping off people more. We can make not just money. We can make actual value progression. We can make evolution's fruits and gifts and means one way redeemed. So we couple this with sciences. We can use that. There are means. Space has means that no one can afford individually grouped together, so no one can fathom it. But everyone starts thinking about and realizing this differently once we admit this abridged Constitution and its native science, pure. So we just stack means. We stack people to that spot, how they can go there without disturbing the people around it. They don't even have to see them. In other words, put science schools and stuff like that. They would make that the process. Pantheism is about the identity of value progression that is distinctly, non-distinctly, and simultaneously inseparable from the value of our species identity of volume, individually grouped together. God was revealed by the ancients, by the scientific method of the ancients with pantheism, before it was criminally re-engineered. The sciences were criminally re-engineered, so human relations would stay criminally re-engineered. So there would stay reactions to it, self-valued roles, preventing the science of why and how we are individual grouped in the species body of volume actually. When we're led by that native science, there are means, unfathomed means. Please read the Santa Claus, Republic. Oh, Tempest Marcius calls you through the hot and through the cold. Prepare.